Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video. My name is Jordan from The Shed Organics, and today I'm going to give you a very simple living soil recipe that you can make at home for all of your potted plants, your containers, your raised beds, and your wicking beds, and things like this. So stick around. Alrighty, so today we are going to be breaking down a very simple recipe, and this is my way of explaining to you how simple this can be. Instead of going down to the hardware store or the garden center and picking up one of these bags of soil that clearly comes from a mass-produced company, we want to educate each other on how to make soil at home that is very, very simple and effective. Now, we want a balanced soil mix. We need to have various components that make up this mix that are going to really help our plants to thrive. We're also trying to, again, mimic nature as to what sort of types of things make up a soil recipe where plants do thrive. So let's break it down. We've got three parts, three main areas that we're going to be working on today. The first part of our mix is cocoa or peat moss, and this is our base. Now, this provides some moisture retention and also a little bit of aeration. And these two products are just very, very good at providing that stable base for our soil. Check where you get your sourced ingredients from. Most cocoa is actually more sustainably sourced these days in the world than our peat moss, although in Australia, we can get relatively well sustainably sourced peat moss. So don't rule that out, but just check exactly where it's coming from. The second part of our soil mix is aeration. So it's something that's going to provide good drainage and air again in our soil. Most of the time, we're going to be trying to go for some sort of local ingredient. We use pumice here. I like to get pumice in from New Zealand. I originally lived in New Zealand, so I absolutely love pumice rock. And although I've used perlite and things like this and vermiculite in the past, I've found that perlite actually often floats to the top of most of our containers. So if you use perlite and you water it in regularly, it actually ends up floating to the top. So you gather this little layer of perlite on top of your pot. So I'm not sure if you've ever noticed, but eventually you lose all of that aeration in the middle. So something like pumice actually stays where it is. I like to also use scoria. That's pretty well available, volcanic rock here in Australia. So scoria is another good one to add as aeration. You can use rice hulls as well, a really good source of silica for your soil. Rice hulls break down over time and add some organic matter to the soil, but we do have to add that factor in that they do break down. So eventually they are going to disappear. And if we're having a no-till pot for years or season after season, you're going to lose that drainage. So something like scoria or pumice that doesn't break down over a long period of time, or add some rice hulls in as well and break up that percentage. But choose what you've got available locally and go from there. Part three is probably going to be the most crucial to get right, but this is our quality source of compost. Now, I'm using worm castings for mine because I have a worm farm set up at home where I can get fresh worm castings to add to my mix. If I'm ever short of worm castings and I need to make some more, usually I'll go and source them from a good quality worm farm that I know where the worms are being kept and what they're being fed, so that I know that what's coming out of the worms is good quality stuff. Now, I've been caught in the past where using worm castings that are full of tomato seeds, and then suddenly there's tomatoes growing out of absolutely everything I've got. Surprise, surprise, here in Queensland. Really check the source of where you're getting it from. Same goes with compost. People can be very blasé with what they throw in compost, including myself. So some things will sneak their way in, and even just through what you're watering it with or leaching from certain weed killers and all sorts of things like this. You've just got to be so careful that it's broken down properly in a compost and been properly processed. I try and outsource because I know some quality people like Red Soil Organics that sell some amazing compost here in Queensland. So I outsource to make sure that I've got the best of the best. But you can make some at home. There's plenty of videos out there, and I'm sharing some of my own on composting. So get the quality compost or worm castings right as part number 3. So let's recap. We got one part of our base, that's our peat moss or our cocoa. Second part is our aeration. We've got pumice or scoria, rice hulls, something like that. And third part is our high quality compost or worm castings. Now, you could literally just go with that. You could just have that and your plants will do really well, especially if you've sourced a good quality compost. Now, there's also an amazing addition that can go with that. Step in our number one blend or organic amendments, various different amendments that are going to do wonders for your soil. All of these things are just supplements that are just going to boost your soil and make sure long term it's got absolutely everything it needs. Now, this usually is 5% of our soil mix, maybe 10. We just got to be really careful. It's better to underdo our amendments and need to add more later than overdo it because you can't take it out. So once you've got all the ingredients together, the best way is just to throw it all on a tarp and get your hands in there and work it all together into a nice mix. Then often moisten it afterwards just so that it's got some good moisture content. You don't want to be wringing it so there's drips coming out, but you certainly want at least a little bit of body to it once you make it into a ball. But allow it to sit there for maybe a couple of days and it's probably ready to use. I'm usually just sitting it in some tubs or some bins or even leave it in the tarp wrapped up. Leave it there for a couple of days, make sure it's all settled in, and then you can start using it to plant straight into. So there you have it, a really easy way of making your own soil at home for all of your containers instead of going to the store and buying a hardware or garden store compost based mix that just you have no idea what's in it. So give it a go. Make something at home. Let us know how you get on. Drop a comment below if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more, and we'll see you on the next video.